Someone is controlling Trump. Trump just went on Fox News, said two things that broke the internet entirely. Democrats released gigantic amounts of Epstein emails implicating Trump. And also, Trump invited an ISIS terrorist into the White House, Jolani. This is one of the wildest episodes of what the f is happening in American politics of all time. Definitely subscribe. Lock in. This is going to be insane. So, Trump first mentioned something about the H-1B visas.
Have to talk about it, Laura.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers...
So for the record, the H-1B visas are specialized visas given to people that are supposedly really, really freaking good. All right, what the H-1B program was supposed to be, because a lot of people don't understand what it actually is. What it was supposed to be was get highly skilled people from across the world, talent like doctors and engineers, the likes of which we would never even see in America. That guy has 4 billion IQ. Einstein would get an H-1B visa. All right, that's what it was supposed to be. For the best of the best. What H-1B visas ended up becoming is you got a rich guy that would rather get a poop thrower from across the world than actually need to pay an American. And they would import the poop throwers. And now the future of America is belonging to the poop throwers. It's kind of insane. So anyway, diabolical. So the H-1B program is a giant scam right now. So that's what she's asking.
You can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of workers.
You also do have to bring in talent.
Talented people
you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
We don't.
No, you don't, says Trump.
Have talent here.
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you.
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing. It's very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say, he's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
So train them. So train the Americans, right? Wouldn't you think that that's actually kind of the move here, training the Americans? Like, this is getting scary because there is someone that actually disagrees with Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a rival now, and this is pretty insane. It's not that easy. I'm gonna get there. Don't worry. There's a lot to talk about. You have to kind of see what's going on because there's someone that disagrees with Donald Trump, and the person that disagrees with him is Donald freaking Trump.
Well, first of all, I think, and I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers. And second of all, I think it's very important to say, well, I'm a businessman, and I have to do what I have to do, and it's sitting there waiting for you, but it's very bad. It's very bad for business in terms of, it's very bad for our workers, and it's unfair for our workers, and we should end it.
Yeah, so Trump 2016 was a completely different man than Trump 2024. It's almost like he's being controlled by a nefarious entity. Now, obviously, there's a lot of conspiracies. A lot of people just yell Israel because they like blaming everything in the world on Israel, even though there's actually no evidence that Israel controls anybody. Unfortunately, for the Israel people, they would love to control everyone, I assume. But unfortunately, they don't, unfortunately. Now, some would say it's Qatar. Some would say it's different Arab states that are starting to control people, you know, because they're giving him free jets, opening different air bases in America. You know, you got a whole lot of stuff. It's getting pretty wild. Some would say China. Well, we are going to get into that theory as well. There's a lot to talk about, an insane amount to talk about. But anyway, there's another person that disagrees with the H-1B visa idea that current modern day Trump is proposing. And that would be J.D. Vance.
The fear that we're going to have a brain drain. If you go back to the 50s and 60s, the American space program, the program that was the first to put a human being on the surface of the moon, was built by American citizens, some German and Jewish scientists who had come over during World War II, but mostly by American citizens who had built an incredible space program with American talent. This idea that American citizens don't have the talent to do great things, that you have to import a foreign foreign class of servants and professors to do these things. I just reject that. I actually think we invest in our own people, we can do a lot of good. You've heard that criticism in particular as the president has talked about cracking down on foreign student visas and their abuses. But I think that's actually an opportunity for American citizens to really flourish. And here's the second. But
JDV 48, JD Vance 48. And meanwhile, Trump is like, we don't have enough Indians, which is diabolical. Now, to be fair, I like Indians. I think most Indians are very nice people. They might not have the same perspective on hygiene that some others do, but, you know, they happen to be very nice people. But that poop flinging festival thing that we just covered, that has forever ruined the reputation of India. I'll be real. Like, I feel like if someone's just going to show that poop flinging festival to Trump that we just covered, I can't show it because it's going to get demonetized. Every time I show the poop festival, it gets demonetized. But if someone shows Trump the poop festival, like, that would end the entire H-1B program, like, immediately. But anyway, much more important to talk about is this is a pretty massive change-up. Now, I personally think that the H-1B visa program needs to be overhauled. If you actually want to import unique individuals with high amounts of talent, I actually do get that. It does make sense, all right? If there's an Einstein somewhere, you absolutely want to snipe that guy and make the Einstein part of America, right? Einstein was an immigrant, right? So you absolutely want to do that. However, and I feel like this is super important to mention, random employers just importing random people from Uzbekistan because they deserve to be on the H-1B program because they're professionals at cleaning toilets. You can find an American to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. So H-1B is not used for this anymore, and Trump knows that. He knew it in 2016, and now he's pushing an entirely opposite idea. Also, and this is the wildest part, he's saying that Americans don't have the talent. So this is not looking good at all. But let's just say it gets even more diabolical.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States. We have about 350,000 Chinese. One point during COVID, you were going to, push to, get them out, but that was pulled back. You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them, and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do.
I absolutely hate, by the way, that foreign countries are giving our universities money. It's like, you mean to tell me that all of the universities that are pushing communist shit are getting funded by China? It's like, all right, dude. Anyway, let's go.
We have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have. China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the collections in the United States go out of business.
Good.
I think it's a big deal.
Are they fancy?
They're useless. Colleges suck. They're terrorist breeding grounds. Right after this video, I'm gonna be working on a video regarding the Turning Point USA terrorist attack. They beat up a bunch of people at Turning Point USA events in Berkeley. We're gonna be looking at that in just an hour, in like an hour from now.
You would have the
United States.
Yeah, but you would have, as you know, historically, black colleges and universities would all be out of business. You would have a system of colleges.
That sounds like a skill issue. Fuck them. Fuck colleges. Real. It's a broken system. It really is.
And universities would go down.
So we're dependent on China to get a university system going?
But I think it's good to have. I actually think it's good to have outside countries. Look, I want to be able to get along with the world.
They're not the French. They're the Chinese. They spy on us. They steal our intellectual property.
What, do you think the French are better?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a crazy good line. That's an insane line. Holy! You think the French are better? God damn.
Really? No, I'll tell you, I'm not so sure. We've had a lot of problems with the French, where we get taxed very unfairly on our technology, where, they put 25% taxes on American products. Look, assuming everyone treats us badly, because that's the way I am, but we take in trillions of dollars from students. The students pay more than double when they come in from most foreign countries. I want to see our school system thrive. But at the same time, I know you and I...
See, I have a very different perspective. I want to, literally cut the federal funding out of all of these colleges. Every college that has, an Antifa wing, I think it needs to be absolutely and utterly defunded by the federal government. So we have a very different perspective here.
Disagree. We're never going to.
It's like we're in the middle of a trade war with China, and it's like, we should import 600,000 Chinese. They're so funny with their eyes. Okay, I don't think he said that, but that's probably what he was. Okay, anyway, moving on.
No. But that's okay. And it's not that I want them, but I view it as a business. We have millions and millions of people. Also, I want to get along with countries if possible. You know, people are shocked. Remember, Hillary Clinton said, we'll be in a war. I stopped 8 wars in the last 9 months. I don't want to be in wars. If I am in a war, we're going to win the thing fast, and it'll be violent.
Damn.
I don't want to be in wars. But one thing, you don't want to cut half of the people, half of the students from all over the world that are coming into our country, destroy our entire university and college system. I don't want to do that.
I wouldn't lose anything.
And don't forget, MAGA was my idea. MAGA was nobody else's idea. I know what MAGA wants better than anybody else. And MAGA wants to see our country thrive.
Yeah, it does want to see our country thrive for sure. Specifically, you know, for Americans. Not so much for 600,000 Chinese students that are probably coming here to spy on us. I'll be real, not trying to be racist or anything, but, you know, historically, Chinese have been literally stealing our shit all the time. So, bro has been obliterated on the timeline for this. I'll be real. Like, this is going wild. This has been wild for everyone. Now, I do think Trump has this idea where he wants to make friends with the world, but make friends with the world doesn't mean, you know, dilute America. And that's kind of what's happening here. So what happened to Trump? He literally wasn't doing this. They're taking our jobs. Here's his scholarship too. God damn. Like, dude, it's wild. We're trying to reverse this situation. Charlie Kirk was the last person who could walk into the Oval Office and speak on behalf of his base. Now it's all donors. I feel like a lot of people are starting to see this. Charlie Kirk's death was a bigger loss than we realized. He was the bridge from the younger generations to the White House. I do think Vance is going to have a very different perspective, because Vance very much seems like his finger is on the pulse of, like, the American youth. Like, he knows what's going on. He's up to date with all the drama, all the beef, you know, all of that. He's there with everyone, you know. So, you know, that's pretty awesome. So I do think Vance is pretty on point in this regard. However, Trump really feels like there is a nefarious force out there, because he's kind of flipping on a lot of his shit. Now, this is what Charlie Kirk tweeted in August. May he rest in peace. He was the best of us. This is the social compact breaking down. We need urgency to restore it. Step 1, mass deportations. Step 2, stop the H-1B scam. Step 3, dramatically reduce legal immigration. We can't just flood our country just because it's technically legal. End chain migration and the visa lottery. True, you specifically want people that are good, right? You don't want to just give visas to random retards. 5, build 10 million homes for Americans. Yep, that would help the housing crisis. 6, crush the college cartel. Also based as fuck. These people are literally brainwashing our youth and getting them to castrate themselves and start simping for Islamic terrorist organizations. This is the effective strategy. He's right about everything. And they killed him. And then they celebrated his death. It's a nightmare. What a nightmare. So the other crazy nuclear bomb, right? We have a few more Trump nukes that happened over the last 24 hours. We have to cover all of it. House Democrats release an Epstein email alleging Trump had knowledge of the victims. House Oversight Democrats released emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate referencing President Trump's associations with the sex offender, including a 2011 message to Jade Maxwell claiming Trump knew about the girls and spent hours with an alleged victim at Epstein's home. Republicans, led by Chair James Comer, criticized the release as selective, noting that victim Virginia Juff's testimony that she never saw Trump engage in misconduct at Epstein's properties. The partisan dispute unfolds amid a government shutdown with no new criminal allegations against Trump from the documents. So once again, it doesn't stop. It does not stop. The Democrats decided they're going to be releasing this information. I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. So this is kind of implying, based on an ancient email, that there was a victim that was there with Trump, so Trump knew about it. Now, I'm going to tell you my opinion. This is going to be, I have a few opinions, obviously, but I'm going to tell you what I think. Epstein tried to recruit people in Trump's staff at Mar-a-Lago, and Trump kicked him out of his house at Mar-a-Lago. This could be referring to one of the people that he was trying to recruit from there. Because we don't know who the victim is even. We don't know. Also, it could be that he's a pedophile. Do I think that's the case? No, I don't. But realistically, it's possible. No one knows. But I'm going to tell you the actual smoking gun that no one is talking about. The Democrats just did a government shutdown all right? A government shut down. They were humiliated. They kept the government down for 40 days, all right? They lost trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. The victim was Virginia Gerthy. The name was just released. All right, look, they lost trillions of dollars, all right, for the government. They ruined our country to an extent over this government shutdown. And now they released the Epstein email that they supposedly had forever, all right? Supposedly had forever. And they're choosing now to release it, redacting the victim's name because they're trying to get heat off their back by calling him a pedophile again. Now, the thing is, I think that the way the Epstein situation was handled was a nightmare. It really was. He said he was going to release the files. He didn't release the files. Then he said there were no files. It's a Democrat hoax, etc., etc. Like, I really think that it's an absolute nightmare situation, to be fair. It really is. However, the important thing to note is the fact that they had this. They had this for years. This is an email from 2011. They've had this for years. And now they've decided to stealth drop it like a bomb, literally just to cook him, because they wanted to take the heat off themselves for humiliating themselves. All right, someone in my chat told me I needed to watch the Liberal Hive Mind video because apparently he talks about it. Let's see what he said.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's your meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Holy frickin' moly, folks, we've got an absolute bombshell, or at least that seems to be how the Democrats are attempting to present it here. You'll be seeing these posts all over social media. We got Jeffrey Epstein emails supposedly implicating President Trump. But friends, there's only one problem. It seems as though the supposed evidence that incriminates President Trump as some sort of Epstein associate and criminal accomplice, well, it actually proves the exact opposite, at least based on my analysis of the current facts that have been presented here. Let me show you guys the file. Let me explain my...
You do not hate these guys enough, man. You don't hate them enough.
Analysis. We'll keep the intro short on this one. We got a serious breaking story here. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So here's the supposed bombshell written by Oversight Dems on X. They write, breaking, Oversight Dems have received new emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate that raise...
Yeah, right. They got new emails right now from 2011, right now, literally now, after they humiliated themselves with the government shutdown. Get out of here.
Serious questions about President Trump and his knowledge of Epstein's horrific crimes. Read them for yourself. It's time to end this cover-up and release the files. And so let's start off with this email, because this is the one that is the most damning, supposedly. This is the one that's moving in Democrat circles. We've got an email here from Jeffrey Epstein to an individual under the name GMax. This was sent on Saturday, April 2nd, 2011. And the email writes, I want you to realize that that dog hasn't barked is Trump. Then we have a name that is redacted, and they just write in big bold letters, victim. The victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there. And now this, of course, implies that a victim spent hours with President Trump, and supposedly, you can make the assumption from there, the victimizer in this case was President Trump. However, there's only one problem with that. The Democrats have presented this in possibly the most dishonest and deceitful manner possible. They didn't just redact it, no, they redacted and wrote victim to make an implication. The reality is there's actually no need for this redaction, which the GOP Oversight Committee now clarifies. Why did Democrats cover up the name when the estate didn't redact it in the redacted documents provided to the committee? So the name initially was not even redacted. So obviously there's something behind that redaction, right? And the addition of the word victim. The GOP Oversight Committee continues, it's because this victim, Virginia Giuffre, publicly said that she never witnessed any wrongdoing by President Trump.
That's insane. They knew this alleged victim, all right, Virginia, is the one that literally said Trump did nothing wrong. So they redacted the name and wrote victim to make it look like Trump was raping a child, when in reality, by putting the name Virginia, it would have proved that he was innocent. She's the one that was Prince Andrew. Yeah, she was the Prince Andrew one. But she specifically said that Trump did nothing. She never witnessed any wrongdoing by Trump. And they used her testimony. That's crazy that they redacted her name. I'm actually shocked. Like, this is evil. Like, this is the government, the Oversight Dems. Like, a government branch is basically calling someone a pedophile.
Democrats are trying to create a fake scandal to slander President Trump. Shame on them. Holy frickin' moly. When I initially saw this document, I thought it was pretty damning. But I was also a little bit confused by who this supposed victim was. But now to learn that it's Virginia Giuffre? Are you freaking kidding me? We've already been through this a million times. The Democrats have been trying to take down President Trump with this individual case for the longest of time. And now they're trying to recycle it with this latest dishonest drop. Obviously, they had this document that clearly could not be used in its original form. It was not the big breaking bombshell scandal that incriminated the president that they wanted it to be. And so they altered the document and then released it in one of the most disgusting and dishonest propaganda plays I think ever conducted. Will Chambers?
No, that's insane. I've never seen this, but I've never seen something like this before in my entire life. I'm like actually in shock that they did this. I'm actually in shock that they did this. Like, this is insane. Look, when Trump says Epstein hoax, like, so Trump actually responded to this. All right, Trump responded to this. And he doesn't respond to this well, but he did respond. The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything to reflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown. And there's so many other subjects. Only a very bad or a stupid Republican would fall into that trap. Bro, stop doing this. Stop doing this. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics in viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. That's right. Start arresting them. Start arresting them. Can we please get these people fucking arrested? Like, all the criminals, please. Thank you. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republicans involved should be focused only on opening up our country, fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats. I don't even think he's wrong about this. Now, the thing is, saying that it's the Jeffrey Epstein hoax is insane, because Jeffrey Epstein was the most prolific child sex trafficker in the history of the world. All right? So calling it a hoax is insane. However, he's not wrong. This is a hoax. This is absolutely a hoax. The fact that they're covering up Virginia, the person that straight up vindicated and batted for Trump, all right, they covered her name and wrote victim on it. This is intentionally trying to slander him and calling him a pedophile. This is absolutely diabolical. This is one of the most evil things I've ever seen. This is one of the most evil things I've ever seen. Oh my God. Unreal. So yeah, no, this is an Epstein hoax. This is an Epstein hoax for sure. It's insane. So obviously this got Trump into like a fuck ton of backlash and hot water. Everyone's blasting him all over the internet about the Epstein files. Here he is with a victim. Not obviously the truth is less exciting. So no one actually realizes the fact that the reality is that this quote unquote victim literally vindicated him. Yes, I know Trump never said Epstein was a hoax. He's just said that the list was a hoax. Yeah, I know, but he also said that there was a list and he was going to release the list. And then he got elected and then he said the list was a hoax. No, he definitely handled the whole like Jeffrey Epstein situation terrible. He did a really bad job with that. But realistically, this is crazy. This is absolute insanity. It's evil. Now, speaking of evil, there was an ISIS terrorist in the White House. So this guy, this is a poster calling for the arrest of Mohammed al-Jawlani with a $10 million bounty from the United States. All right, so obviously this guy was very wanted. He was a very bad guy, obviously. And this is him in the White House shaking hands with President Trump. Yeah, that's diabolical, man. That's absolutely diabolical. It got even weirder, though. I'm not gonna lie. So this is Trump saying something very admittedly very funny. All right, Trump admittedly is hilarious.
It's men's fragrance.
So here's him giving perfume to an ISIS terrorist.
Yeah, this is it. No. It's the best fragrance. Come here, man. I have more here, sir. Okay.
It gets
so
better.
What we'll do is just take that, Joe, put it in, and then the other one is for your wife.
The other one is for your wife. Now get ready. First of all, implying that you smell bad. All right, that's first. That's obviously amazing. Sir, you smell like jihad. But that's first. Second, and this is insane.
How many wives?
How many wives? One?
You guys, I never know.
With you guys, you never know.
I never know.
Anyway, with you guys, you never know. One wife. All right, not bad. Not bad. You never know. How old is she, by the way? I'm just meaning to ask. Oh, God. Oh, Lord, it's insane. So, anyway, this happened in the White House. It's kind of insane. So, this is Trump's response to, obviously, he got backlash that he had Jolani in the White House, right? An ISIS terrorist. So, this is his response. It's pretty wild.
Them joining the anti-ISIS.
Yeah, you can expect some announcements on Syria. We want to see Syria become a country that's very successful, and I think this leader can do it. I really do. I think this leader can do it. And people said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts, but he has had a...
He was beheading people with his bare hands as a member of ISIS. Like, it's true, we've all had a rough past. That is true. he has led genocides against the minority Christian Druze and Alawite populations in Syria. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Rough past, and I think, frankly, if you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance. He gets along very well with Turkey, with President Erdogan, who's a great leader. Erdogan's a great leader.
Yeah, another nightmare. Erdogan from Turkey. Now, this is getting really weird. Like, I get that he wants world peace. So, as a wise man once said, as Sun Tzu, I'm pretty sure this was a Sun Tzu quote. Sun Tzu said, you don't have to make peace with friends. You make peace with enemies, right? So this is him making friends. Well, not with peace, obviously. So here we are. And essentially, it's kind of wild. So yeah, you could say he had a rough past. Everyone had a rough past. I had a rough past. He had a rough past. So retards decided to make posts like this, At this point, we're essentially living through Biden's second term with a secure border. This is the retard opinion, obviously. Only people that have an obvious hate boner for Israel, like trying to do this kind of thing, and trying to make believe Israel is secretly controlling everything behind the scenes, because this is just completely and utterly untrue. It's insane. So first of all, this is like, with a secure border is like a big deal, all right? A massive big deal. Immigrant population in the U.S. drops for the first time in decades. That's pretty crazy. You also have stopping 8 wars around the world. You have unbelievable amount of stuff that has been done. The normalization of speech, the lack of censorship in the media. You have even places like YouTube and Facebook aren't censoring people as badly. You got the Jan 6 protesters released from being basically political prisoners. I could list a ton of stuff that have been impacted very well. Very, very well. But the wild part is, like, today was insane. So he's getting people blasting him for literally inviting a terrorist to the White House. He's getting people blasting him for this Epstein shit, which is an actual hoax this time. He's inviting 600,000 Chinese students, and also he likes the H-1B visa program, and this is really getting a lot of people kind of scared. A lot of people are really kind of wondering what is going on, what is actually happening. And first and foremost, I have some people like a lot of people in my chat are like freaking out about this. And to be fair, it is freak outable. I understand. I mean, he literally invited an ISIS terrorist into the White House. But the difference is this is an ISIS terrorist that won. And he is the leader of Syria. And ultimately, we want to make peace with our enemies instead of literally just sitting there and spitting on them because it's easier. This is business. Welcome to business. Welcome to politics. That's just where we're at. It's kind of insane. But anyway, I'm not going to sit here and make believe I think this is a nice guy. I hate it, but that's where we're at. And I kind of get it. If he wants to make peace in the Middle East, I guess there are 2 ways to do it. You either nuke him from orbit or you try to make friends with him. And Trump is definitely the latter stance, which I could respect, I guess. Anyway, Caroline Leavitt did a press briefing, and they attacked. I didn't watch this yet. A lot of people told me I needed to. And I'm excited to see what we actually got. I'm very excited to see what we have here because there is a lot that Trump is getting blasted for.
But I do have, thank you for being here today. We are going to get to my remarks and Q&A as always, but I do have the FBI director with me here, Kash Patel. You all know him well.
I heard of him.
And he's here to provide an update for you all with respect to China. As you know, President Trump had a very successful meeting on his trip to Asia with President Xi, where they discussed the need for China to crack down on fentanyl production and distribution, which ultimately makes its way here to the United States of America. And the FBI director recently traveled to China following President Trump's meeting to meet.
I'm noticing none of this. Where'd it go? Where's the cross? She's talking about importing Chinese people. She takes the cross off. Okay.
With his counterpart in Beijing, and he has a really positive announcement for the American people to share. So the president wanted me to bring the FBI director out to share that with all of you today. So Kash, please, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Caroline. As Caroline mentioned, we have some tremendous news thanks to President Donald J. Trump once again for the American people. As soon as the President of the United States took office, he issued a mandate to rid America of the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. Thanks to his leadership and
this is awesome. By the way, there's a lot of retards out there that I very much enjoy making fun of. They make me happy to make fun of. The fact that Trump is bombing Venezuela ships that are carrying fentanyl is amazing. It's actually awesome. That's right. It's epic. And a lot of people are cringe. However, this is awesome.
Engagements with China. We set up a framework to execute that mission 8 months ago. Attorney General Bondi immediately thereafter took steps to engage her counterpart in China at the Ministry of Public Security, pursuant to their direct discussions as the FBI director designated to run counterpoint on this, along with the Secretary of State Rubio and Ambassador Perdue and the team here at the White House. We set forward a path to implement the policy needed to crush the plague of fentanyl. Deputy Attorney General Blanche and our teams have been hard at work ever since, ultimately culminating in my trip to Beijing last week. This was only possible due to President Trump.
By the way, you want to see my favorite political commentator? This is my favorite political commentator. His name is iDubbbz. He's a cuck. Now, this is his perspective on... So he obviously says Trump is a bad person for bombing people that are trying to poison us with fentanyl, right? So this was his stance.
Try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence.
They're not... I know the trick. He's really trying to make it sound like you poison our people. It's like... Yeah, when it's framed as if it's poison, it's like, oh, okay. You know, there's a lot of Americans who are like, oh, he's protecting me. He's protecting me. What a strong alpha brave defender of Americans. But then
I did not think I would ever live to see iDubbbz, a YouTuber with 7 million subscribers, run defense for Venezuelan narco-terrorists. But here we are.
When you realize that he's just describing drugs
that killed 200,000 Americans a year or whatever the number is. Yep.
Like, obviously fentanyl is killing people, but it's not like unique.
It's not unique. Car accidents kill people too. Why are we stopping Venezuela from killing people when cars kill people? You know, this is the welcome to the average libtard opinion.
Historic engagement with President Xi just a few short weeks ago that set the stage for today's announcement. At that meeting, the leaders reached an agreement. But just to put this in frame for the American people, a reminder here that nearly 100,000 people died of fentanyl overdoses just last year alone.
I told you, man.
Here, this...
and then your retard leftoid is going to be like, well, actually, it's not poison. Only 100,000 people died of it last year because of Venezuela and others. But, like, I think we could, like, a lot of people die from a lot of things.
Here, under this president, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl.
Good.
So far, 31% increase from the same time period last year.
For the record, to all the people that are like, actually, Trump and Biden are basically the same. Basically, Trump saved 100,000 Americans' lives. All right, just by doing this.
In perspective, that's enough fentanyl to kill 127 million Americans. Fentanyl precursors are what makes up fentanyl. While we, the interagency, the Department of Justice, have been fighting hard to seize and stop drug traffickers, we must attack fentanyl precursors, the ingredients necessary to make this lethal drug. That was the sole purpose of my trip to China, to eliminate these precursors.
And I'm coming back with extra luggage. I managed to fit 600,000 Chinese students in there.
And if successful, we would suffocate the drug trafficking organization's ability to manufacture fentanyl in places like Mexico. This was the first time an FBI director has been to China in over a decade and received the audience with his counterpart to address this matter directly.
Okay.
And again, thanks to President Trump's direct engagement
Weird flex.
President Xi, the government of China committed fully to my engagement there on the ground in Beijing.
That's right. Agent Hassan Piker is in China right now. Right now!
At a level never seen before. While at Ministry of Public Security headquarters, I met with my counterpart at MPS, where the Chinese government agreed on a plan to stop fentanyl precursors. What does that mean? The People's Republic of China has fully designated and listed all 13 precursors utilized to make fentanyl. Furthermore, they have agreed to control 7 chemical subsidiaries that are also
huge,
utilized to produce this lethal drug.
If this is true, that's massive. That's crazy.
Effective immediately.
Hassan Piker flying to China, trying to resume the fent flow back to the U.S. Yeah, sounds about right.
Essentially, President Trump has shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl that kills tens of thousands of Americans. These substances are now banned, and they will no longer be utilized by the Mexican drug trafficking organizations or any other DTOs around the world.
Dude, this is a massive, massive W, and especially because China is very well known for always keeping their word. Now, Sorry, I don't mean to be a downer here or anything, but this is huge.
To make this drug. This historic achievement has saved tens of thousands of lives. This historic achievement would not have been possible without the...
And a lot of people are so retarded. Every time you open Twitter and are like, Trump is not actually America first. This is a pretty fucking America first thing to do. It really is.
Tremendous...
Now, don't get me wrong. Trump's not doing enough. He needs to throw every single one of these terrorists or people that are inciting violence into slammer immediately. I think he's not nearly radical enough. Bro needs to go super radical. That's right. He needs to follow the law 100% to the fullest extent of the law. But this is huge, and it shouldn't be understated.
Of President Trump, the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Ambassador Perdue in China, whose ground-level engagements were imperative to achieving this result. This is yet another example of how President Trump defends the American people, provides security for the American people, and puts the American people first. This is a historic first-in-its-kind achievement by any president to stop the scourge of fentanyl, and it should be championed by every single American.
He's right. You know the craziest part? This literally isn't even in the news. I didn't even know this happened. Like, I follow the news for a living, all right? I analyze the retards every day. I do daily retard analysis. Definitely subscribe. I didn't even know that this happened. The fact that the media isn't willing to talk about this, but the media is willing to publish fake Epstein stories about previous quote-unquote victims, like, that show up, like, this is insane. It's absolutely insane.
Achievement will save lives. We are thankful for President Trump's steadfast leadership, and this FBI will fearlessly follow in his footsteps to ensure that this mission of safeguarding the American public is achieved every single day. Thank you. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you again, Director.
That dude ran out. He did not want to be asked questions. He knew that someone in the media was going to whip out that Tyler Oliveira poop documentary, and he did not want to be there for it. I'm just saying.
Dr. Patel, before we get going, I do have one quick scheduling announcement. Tomorrow, President Trump will be joined by the First Lady in the East Room for an executive order signing aimed at expanding opportunities for education, career development, housing, and other resources for young people transitioning from foster care to adulthood.
Whatever the fuck that means. Dude, we need to do something about the college system, man.
This is part of the First Lady's Fostering the Future efforts, which are a Be Best initiative. In other news,
hope it works out.
Democrats dragged on the government shutdown for 43 days, the longest shutdown in U.S. history. But tonight, thanks to Republicans, the White House is very hopeful that this shutdown is going to come to an end. The damage caused by the Democrats with this reckless government shutdown cannot be forgotten.
Yeah, people have to realize what happened. That the Democrats literally sabotaged our country and took it as a hostage for 40 days just to, like, get a gotcha on Trump, which failed ultimately. But, we have to absolutely remember this forever. Forever. That it's evil. Like, dude, the Republicans are like, we want to destroy the country slowly and legally, and then the Democrats are like, we want to destroy the country really quickly and viciously and illegally. So that's pretty crazy. Both sides are in on the shutdown. You're retarded. It's not true. The Democrats voted for the shutdown. The Republicans voted to reopen the government. Sorry, that's retarded. No. It's crazy. It's super, super important to not forget the fact that these people are literally killing us and sacrificing our country.
It is entirely the fault of the Democrat Party. Just look at the vote count. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have missed their paychecks. Tens of billions in wages and benefits were withheld, impacting vulnerable families. Millions of low-income Americans.
Yeah, we gotta do something about Obamacare and the SNAP benefit stuff. One thing that this shutdown did teach me is the fact that I fully support basically gutting the SNAP system and the government benefit system. I see these fat people that refuse to get jobs crying about starving, and I'm like, bro, I do not want to be funding you, actually. I don't care.
Americans missed their SNAP benefits. Nearly 20,000 flights at airports across the country were delayed due to staffing shortages, causing Americans to miss family events, vacations, and work obligations. According to Airlines for America, an estimated 5.2 million travelers have had their flights disrupted over the course of the Democrat shutdown. And our economy has lost billions and billions of dollars in economic activity over the course of this shutdown, hurting consumer sentiment and crushing the travel and hospitality industries.
Dude, the media is so trash. The fact that the media isn't willing to talk about this stuff at all, or recognize that they sabotaged and destroyed our country just to get a gotcha on Trump, it's truly, truly diabolical.
According to a CBO estimate, the Democrat shutdown could end up decreasing fourth quarter economic growth by 2 whole percentage points. The Democrat shutdown. And
again, you have to understand, they'll take the government hostage, they'll ruin the economy, and then they'll be like, this is Trump's America. Look how Trump is ruining the economy. It's probably the tariffs. It's the tariffs that's ruining the economy. Dude, it's absolutely evil. It's insane.
Made it extraordinarily difficult for economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system, with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data...
What do you mean never being released?
...will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period.
What?
It's hard to recap all of this without asking a simple question. Why? Why have the Democrats put the American people through this pain?
Oh, it's simple. It's because they're trying to insurrect against the government, and they really hate that Donald Trump was the democratically elected president of the United States by the majority of the American people. He won all 7 swing states, majority of the people. They hate that, and they want to insurrect and violently overthrow him in any way possible. They would support his assassination, just like they would support his impeachment, just like they would support his jailing. They want to remove him by any means necessary so they could retain their vice grip over the people. They want power. They're corrupt fuckers. They should all be in jail for treason. Not all, but a lot. So it's not easy to be retarded, but they are. This is like an actual open rebellion, and the Republicans are, in my opinion, sitting on their asses, twiddling their thumbs, and not being remotely intense enough when it comes to imprisoning these people. Mayor Brandon Johnson in fuck all Maine or whatever, wherever he is, like that bitch. Wait, where is he? Chicago, right? That he's the Chicago guy. Brandon Johnson, the bitch from Chicago. He's like fight ICE officers. They need to send in the Secret Service, arrest him, and throw him in jail immediately. Literally, jail. Put him in jail. Let him fight. Maybe he'll get bail. Maybe he won't. It should happen immediately. All right? Whatever happened to the Jan 6ers, all right, when they protested by the Capitol on January 6th for Trump, all right? Whatever happened to those guys needs to happen to every single person that called for violence against ICE, as an example. Just in the middle of the night, grab him, throw him in the slammer. Arrested. Get warrant, make it legal. He's insurrecting against the government. He's incentivizing violence against ICE. They need to get arrested. Gulag time. It's crazy. And honestly, the Republicans are, quite honestly, a little bit too meek to do it. They're too meek. They don't actually want to do that because they know what the backlash is going to look like. Bro, the moment the Republicans lose power, the Democrat wave that comes in is going to make some vague anti-Nazi rule and start just arresting random people with conservative talking points, unless you do something.
For 43 days in a row, and it feels like Groundhog Day being up here again talking about this Democrat shutdown. And the answer to that question is pure partisan politics. They started this shutdown with a ridiculous demand to force taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens who broke into our country. Even after it was clear President Trump and Republicans would never force American taxpayers to pay for free health care for illegals. In fact, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill fixed that problem. The Democrats kept dragging this reckless government shutdown on for weeks longer to boost their turnout in an election, perhaps one may guess. That's because the Democrats are totally captured by their far left-wing base, who only care about attacking President Trump, even if it means hurting innocent Americans in our country.
Are you kidding me? They murdered Charlie Kirk and celebrated his murder. Dude, these are not people to unite with. These are the enemy of America. Quite honestly, they want to import our destruction. They want to steal the country from its rightful elected president. Like, I think that people are being way too meek about this. They really are. They're like, oh yeah, it's just a perspective, ideology, fiscal policy. No. It's really not. It's really not. Trump was elected as the president. Suck it up. Holy shit. And if you can't, get the fuck out.
The Democrats' weakness and their unwillingness to buck the fringe members of their party dragged this harmful shutdown on for 7 weeks and inflicted massive pain onto the American public. But let's be clear. The clean.
All right, I'll be honest. I personally was completely unaffected by the shutdown because I actually have a job, and I don't work for the government. So this is just it's pretty good for me personally. It also proves that we literally should gut half the government.
CR being voted on today in the House of Representatives that will lead to the reopening of the federal government is what President Trump and Republicans have supported from day one. Our troops, air traffic controllers, and federal employees will be back to receiving their regular paychecks. Families in need will get back to receiving their food purchasing assistance, and the people's government...
Come on, Trump. You gotta go harder, man. Please. We need to revamp the whole SNAP thing every single time. Every time, bro. Pay attention to who's there. It's like if someone goes for a SNAP card, they should get a job. If they don't have a job and they're not trying to get a job and they don't actually have some sort of issue that's preventing them from getting a job, quite frankly, they should go to a church or a soup kitchen to survive. And also, SNAP benefits should only be there so that you could buy raw materials. Water, milk, eggs, meat, fish, raw, that's it. Learn to cook, all right? Sorry, this shit's insane.
Will soon be back open for business. President Trump looks forward to finally ending this devastating Democrat shutdown with his signature, and we hope that signing will take place later tonight. On another matter, I want to address the affordability issue that's received a great deal of media attention this past week, which is ironic because it didn't receive that much attention when Joe Biden was here and inflation was at a record high 9%, the worst inflation crisis in modern American history. And President Trump won a landslide election in part to address the affordability issues created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And that's exactly what President Trump has done since day one.
Stop acting like SNAP is for degenerates. SNAP is not for degenerates, but the degenerates take advantage of SNAP. I think that half of SNAP goes to people that don't deserve it. Does that make you happy?
Of his administration. Since the first day in office and every day since, the Trump administration has taken aggressive action to fix the Biden-created cost of living issues.
Dude, the cost of living, I think that's probably the number one problem in America, that for the American people. Like, you ask your average American guy, it's like, what is it that, like, you go to your average young American dude, and you ask him, like, what's the issue? They're not going to be like, Ukraine and Russia or Israel and Gaza, all right? They don't actually give a fuck about any of that shit. They want to be able to afford a house. And it's kind of like an impossibility, like, at this point. Like, if you're a young guy, like, you want to own a house. No, not even rent and food. Rent and food, like, bare minimum, that's survival shit. Own a house is what every person should be able to do. Like, that's insane. And also, Trump wanting to do the 50-year loan is retarded. Oh, my God.
The notion that the same Democrats who just shut down the federal government to sabotage our economy, rob people of their paychecks, and also helped Joe Biden ratchet up.
Cost of living doesn't affect Americans alone. I'm pretty sure every country has a cost of living crisis. That's just, demonstrably untrue. Not every country has a cost of living crisis. And in America, it's pretty bad. It's really, really bad in America. It really is. It's insane. Like, you go try buying a house in New York. Good luck, man.
Inflation to 9% are now
full of illegal immigrants that are taking up houses that are increasing, that are decreasing the vacancies to make it even harder for you to find something because illegals that aren't supposed to be here are taking slots. Bro.
Now suddenly
not as bad as Canada. True, Canada's worse.
Affordability champions that notion.
But then again, Canada's retarded.
Is completely absurd, and it's something only the liberal media would have the gall to push. But the reality is that President Trump and his administration have done so much to lower prices and increase the economic prosperity of the American people. And this president and his team of amazing economic advisors are going to keep working on this issue every single day. In less than 10...
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Go to Iowa, get a house for cheap. Yeah, but a lot of people grow up, let's say, in New York, and their family lives in New York, and they want to live in New York where their family lives. And it's just impossible to buy a house there. So, like, realistically, that guy that grows up in New York that wants to live near his family doesn't want to move to Iowa, all right? I'm not shitting on Iowa here. But, like, people kind of want to, maybe live around family, let's say. This is just as an hypothetical. Obviously, moving away to buy an affordable place and find opportunity elsewhere is always an option. However, we shouldn't be living in a country where it's completely impossible to buy a house anywhere in the vicinity of where you grew up and where your family is. Go to upstate New York? Yeah, that's really far.
Short months, President Trump signed the largest middle-class tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, which will guarantee that next year Americans are going to put more money back into their pockets. The president has completely unleashed American energy dominance to help bring gasoline prices to the lowest in 5 years, and we expect them to continue to decrease. And it has also lowered energy costs overall. There is more work to do, but again, the president's deregulatory and pro-American energy agenda is absolutely going to continue to drive down prices. This formula worked in the president's first term, and we expect that it's going to work again. And this is key because we know energy costs are the #1 driver of inflation. Again, just look at what Joe Biden did to our energy industry over the past 4 years of his administration, and look at what happened to inflation as a result. Everything became more expensive. To lower prescription drug prices and healthcare costs, the president has
That didn't happen yet, though.
been working around the clock.
I know. That's huge. When that actually happens, that's, in my opinion, that's worth so much more than cheaper healthcare. Like, in my humble opinion, that's worth more than cheap healthcare.
This issue. He is obsessed with negotiating these good deals on behalf of the American people to bring down pharmaceutical costs and drug costs for Americans, and he has done so on a number of fronts. You have seen him discuss that in the Oval Office several times. To fuel small businesses, lower their costs, and incentivize hiring, the Trump administration has already cut 30 unnecessary regulations for every new one on the books, which we know will save employers and small businesses across the country thousands of dollars in regulatory burdens. All of these pro-Trump policies are working, and they will continue to work. Wages are rising at the fastest pace of the start of a presidential administration in 60 years.
That's straight up the tariffs, by the way, for the record, in case you were curious. That is straight up just the tariffs.
The cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 per year. There's much work.
Yeah, a lot of people are unaware of what I mean by that. I have people asking, when you tariff other countries, you actually have to start employing your own people. And when you have to employ your own people that are competing with each other, you're going to actually have to start paying them more.
To do, and this administration will continue to do it. But President Trump has already made great progress in cleaning up the economic disaster that was created by Joe Biden.
Yeah, not great enough progress, but, Rome wasn't built in a day.
With that, I will take your questions today, and in our new media seat, we have Bev Turner, who works for a new outlet, a UK outlet, but based here in Washington, D.C., GB News. Bev, thank you for being here today. Why don't you say...
I can't believe they're getting UK reporters in the White House. That's crazy. Like, bro, could they get someone that's not from a Muslim majority country, please? Could they get someone that's not governed by Sharia law?
Kick us off.
Damn.
Thank you, Caroline. So the clock is ticking on the Friday deadline by which the BBC...
Oh, even worse than a Muslim, it's a woman. Oh, sorry, that was a joke. That was all comedy. I don't want to bring any hate. No, I don't want to bring any hate to Zohran Mamdani's aunt, who is a woman and a Muslim. Damn, double whammy.
Must retract and apologise for their malicious edit of the president in a documentary shown last year.
For those of you that are unaware, the BBC published how Trump basically went out there and was like, January 6th protest, fight like hell, implying that they need all fight. And they literally cut it, and he said something totally different. And now they're being sued for $1 billion.
Director General of the BBC yesterday described the organisation as the very best of society and blamed the enemies of the BBC for this outcome. Also yesterday...
All right, get out of here. The BBC, in my opinion, should be treated like a terrorist wing, a terrorist propaganda wing. All right? I am not trying to be controversial here. All right? I am meaning this with 100% sincerity. The BBC is a propaganda wing for terrorism. All right? I am tired of making believe they're not. They're insane. Every single time. See if I can find it. Bro, look at this, man. What is this? BBC reporters instructed to blame Israel for Gaza hunger, and then it turned out that there wasn't a Gaza hunger? It's like, bro, what does that even mean, dude? And there are so many of these. So many of these. Oh my god, dude. It's diabolical. It really is. And they're running defense for... Okay, dude, you want to see my favorite BBC article? All right, this is going to be crazy. This is one of my favorite BBC articles. Swan torn apart and eaten claim. Claims of men were seen catching and eating swan are being investigated by British police and the Royal Society of Protection of Birds. The Metropolitan Police say they have investigated similar incidents in London where several hundred swans have been reporting missing, but there's no way. There's no way. Anyway, there's endless video footage of migrants in England tearing swans apart with their bare hands and eating them, in case you were unaware. So they're making this whole thing, making believe it's fake news when there is actually endless footage of it, which is diabolical. That's one of my favorites. My other favorite BBC article, dude, I'm sorry. I have like, I'm gathering a team. I'm assembling an Avengers. BBC, please let me find it. Please let me find it. Please. All right, so this wasn't the BBC, but it was the Telegraph. Another one of these British retard areas. First cousin marriages have benefits. Bro, you're actually being taken over by radical Muslims, man. You're being taken over by radical Islamists, bro. In real time. This is crazy. This is England, bro. What are you doing?
Today, a senior government minister launched a fierce defence of the channel in the House of Commons, saying that the broadcaster remains a light on the hill for people all over the world. So, does the president feel that the network is taking the situation seriously? Does he believe that they've shown sufficient regret? Does this strain the relationship between the president and the prime minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the president prepared to bankrupt the BBC in his pursuit of truth and justice?
Well, there's a lot of questions in one there. I will say, I know the president has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there, you've seen them in their interactions, you've questioned.
Trump has zero respect for Starmer. He's just kind of like holding himself together, but he has no respect for that guy. You could tell.
Both leaders.
All right, now, unfortunately, you know me. I have to show you this clip of Starmer and Trump. I don't even know if I was able to include this in a video because it wasn't like a huge story, but this is one of the greatest stories of all time. Damn it. This is going to be worth it. I found it. I'm the GOAT. So you have to see this, man. So this is after Trump did the Gaza peace treaty. So this is him with Starmer, and here's him calling up Starmer.
United Kingdom. Where's the United Kingdom? Where's our friend? Is everything going good? Very good. That's very nice of you here. These people all came in like 20-minute notice.
He calls him up. Very nice that you're here. Back in line. Just sends him back. Because that dude did not contribute to the Gaza peace deal at all. That's awesome.
In your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank.
Bro treating Starmer like Hassan treats his dog.
When he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree.
That's
the
right.
president made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers.
Agreed. Destroy
that's
them.
Extremely unfortunate.
Rip
for
them.
the
I don't care. I am the media now. Destroy them.
In Great Britain. And I think that the president was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing of his speech that was so clearly fake news. And he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago. And this is a classic example of that. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom. As you know, the president's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC. We expect that to continue. And whether they apologize or not is up to them. Thanks for being here, Bev. Ouija, sure.
Ouija? Like the board?
I have your statement about the new emails that have been...
Oh, please rip them apart.
...released by House Democrats. Separate from why you believe the emails were made public, can you address their substance? Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
Yes, sir.
And so I think
the fact that they redacted it to make it look like Trump's a pedophile when in reality the person that was bleeped out was someone that ran in defense of Trump is diabolical.
It's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship.
And we know why. They redacted it to make him look like a pedophile. Literally. That's why they did it. They redacted it to make him look like a pedophile. It's like, I feel like this is kind of what they did. This is exactly what they did. All right, let me just, all right. So this is what they did. me see if I can do this. Hassan Piker punks kids. All right? He's such a troll. The way he punked all those kids, man. He punked them. But what a trolly guy. The way he punked all those kids. All right? And then I go out here and I redact this. All right? All right, so it's like, this is what the Democrats did. And this is how the Democrats released it. All right? This is what they did. I'm not even exaggerating. Bro, is that not crazy? Like, what does this look like, man? You know, this is what the Democrats literally just did to Trump.
With Jeffrey Epstein is unfortunately no longer with us. Mary.
Thank you, Kelly. 2 questions on this. In the interest of transparency, why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein?
Agreed! Dude, release the files! Oh my God! But again, one thing that I mention every single time, and this is important, the Democrats had the ability to release the files for 4 years. For 4 years, they had the files, they refused to release them. All right, this is on the Democrats just as badly as it's on Trump. Of these people, like, it's such an obvious game.
It's all over with.
We have
because everyone's on that damn list, so they're literally just throwing the potato at each other constantly.
Administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever.
You gotta fucking stop, bro. This is the actual both sides issue, okay? It's not, you know, leftist violence versus right-wing violence. That's not a both sides issue. That's a left-wing issue. The Epstein shit is an actual both sides issue.
In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents to the American people.
It was all released already.
We are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee.
Oh, great.
That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans'
and
effort.
It's a nothing. And they literally did it just to obfuscate from their shutdown.
To get these out to the public. This administration also moved the Department.
Dude, you really think that Donald Trump, the guy that they tried to kill him, they tried to jail him, they tried to slander him, they tried to make believe he was working for Russia, he was they pushed this Russia hoax, they did everything in their power to take this guy down. If they had smoking gun evidence that he was a pedophile, you don't think they would have released that immediately? Like, dude, this is insane. It's such an unbelievable situation where, for whatever reason, everyone is running defense for this giant pedophile ring.
Of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any, and it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party. For now, they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump, as we have, of course, seen with this government shutdown. And this entire thing, again, it's not a coincidence to the American people at home. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C. And it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President Trump.
But
Reagan.
In transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing room. Reagan.
I have a question about the government shutdown.
Thank you. I'm glad someone does.
First, on the
That's
government
right.
shutdown.
The media doesn't care about that anymore. No.
The shutdown deal reverses the administration's reps, and it also prohibits more from happening until the end of January. I'm wondering if the president had input on this element of the deal, and if he's at all disappointed that's going to reverse the downsizing that they did during the shutdown.
I mean, look, I think it's about 6,000 workers total. When you look at that in comparison to the reduction in the federal workforce that this administration has done since January to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and to reduce the size of our federal bureaucracy, we've done a lot of great work on that front, and we will continue to.
Don't stop.
But obviously, the president's main priority was to reopen the federal government and get people back to work, and that's what this deal accomplishes.
There's been reports in Israeli media that the U.S. is considering building a temporary military
military base on the Gaza border. Can you confirm these reports?
So I had a conversation directly with the reporter who wrote this article, and this article was based on a single piece of paper, an inquiry that somebody in the Department of Navy made about an idea that may happen in the future. In this
Dude, I hate the media, man. This was a massive story, and that's the source. It's like an actual nightmare world that these people are running the media. Like, we're literally living in a world of lies, right? A web of lies. I feel like, honestly, there is no truth aside from God. Everything else is a lie. It's diabolical.
Reporter deemed that as an official plan and ran with a story that the United States is looking into it. I checked with the highest levels of the United States federal government. This is not something the United States is interested in being engaged in. It's not something we are currently involved in right now that we will be funding, and the president has been very clear he doesn't want to see boots on the ground with respect to what's happening in the Middle East. We've made great peace. We've made great progress with the peace plan in Gaza, and we want to continue to see that move forward. But I put a comment in that story for a reason, and sometimes we see reporters take a piece of paper like this and just deem it as official policy, and sometimes that misleads people a little bit.
Yeah, and they should get fucking obliterated and fired for something like this. It's humiliating that that this is like what's controlling discourse. I feel like the fact that no one can trust the media has made the entire world so difficult, you know, because until COVID, to some extent, people were believing the media. Then COVID happened, and then people started questioning everything for good reason, right? Because they lied about everything. So, you know, now you don't trust the media. So who do you trust, right? If there's no news that's actually objective, right? You have the BBC that's cutting up Trump interviews to make him look worse. You have ABC News, you know, cutting up Kamala Harris interviews to make her look better. You get the media lying to you. Oh, COVID vaccine has no side effects. It will stop the spread. It will end this. Masks help. Social distancing helps. You know, 2 weeks and that'll be it. It bumps the curve. It'll whatever. Like, you can't trust any of this stuff. Yeah. And who am I? Look, I see people in chat saying we trust you. It's very nice of you. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. I'm doing my best here. I really am. But I'm obviously piecing shit together myself that's very possibly lying to me too. All right? Like, I'm trying, man. But you can't trust anyone. There is no actual objective fact-based situation. You got to trust God. That's really that's the only thing that I personally at this point could be like, yeah, that's true, and I trust that implicitly. I trust that God knows what he's doing. But we're literally living in a world of lies.
And outreach happening until the end of January. I'm wondering if the president had input on this element of the deal, and if he's at all disappointed that's going to reverse the downsizing that they did during the shutdown.
I mean, look, I think it's about 6,000 workers total. When you look at that in comparison to the reduction in the federal workforce that this administration has done since January to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, was a single piece of paper.
There's been a lot of discussion about the high caliber of the intelligence that has been provided before any of these military actions have taken place.
I've seen...
Are we talking about the strikes on the Venezuela narco-terrorists?
That report? Oh, hello. I've seen that report. I'm familiar with the reporting, but we don't comment on intelligence matters, classified intelligence matters, as you know. As for the Trump administration's position on our narco-terrorist campaign in the Caribbean, it is going to continue, and the president has made it very clear he's not going to allow terrorists to bring illegal drugs that kill American citizens into our great country. Sure, John. I'll go to John and then Zolan. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Trump has talked about sending out $2,000 checks to U.S. citizens. Earlier this year, he also talked about sending a Doge dividend. That didn't materialize. Should U.S. Citizens expect the $2,000 proposal? Is the White House committed to making that happen?
The White House is committed to making that happen, yes. And we are currently exploring all legal options to get that done. I don't have a timeline for you or any further details, but I can confirm for you that the president made it clear he wants to make it happen. And so his team of economic advisors are looking into it. And when we have an update, we'll provide one. Solon.
You said at the top that one of the costs of the government shutdown was that people missed their SNAP benefits. Can you explain then why the administration went to court to fight the funding of food stamps and SNAP?
This is the most, like, obvious bullshit gotcha question of all time. Like, there is no way people are actually this retarded.
So recipients missed their SNAP benefits because the Democrats shut the government down, and they forced the administration to tap into a contingency fund that did not even fund the full entirety of this program. And so then you had an unhinged judge who was trying to dictate from the bench what the executive branch has to pay for and where that money has to come from. That is judicial overreach at its finest, and so that's why the administration pushed back on that. We can't have...
With all due respect, you can answer this question way better. Not trying to be rude or anything, but there's a much, much better answer to this question. The answer is the way the Republicans wanted to defund SNAP was to make sure that the people that were on SNAP actually needed it. Right? So the Republicans wanted SNAP to be shut down to the extent that people that actually could just get up and do their job, those guys would go ahead and get fucking jobs and not literally just rely on the government for everything. That's what the Republicans wanted. The Democrats, by shutting down the government, they basically stopped SNAP benefits from going to anyone. They stopped it from going to people that actually did need government assistance. You know, actual cripples, like veterans, you know, stuff like that, which the Republicans would fully support funding. So this is like an actual shithole question.
The judicial branch telling the executive branch that we need to rob the Children Nutrition Fund, which is what this judge was trying to do to pay for SNAP benefits. That's completely inappropriate and it's unconstitutional, and we've been proven right with that legal argument. But now the good news is, again, thanks to Republicans and in several hours, President Trump, the government is going to be reopened and SNAP recipients are going to receive their full benefits, which is what President Trump has always wanted to do. Stephen.
Why also did you need the judicial process for that? I mean, during this shutdown, didn't the administration have a responsibility to tap into any of those reserves to ensure that essentially...
We did.
This dude is straight up saying it's like, it's not the Democrats' fault because the government should have tapped into reserves when the Democrats shut off the government.
We did tap into it. We did tap into the contingency fund. And then the judge told us, no, you have to get more money from a children's nutrition fund. And we felt that was judicial overreach. You shouldn't tell the president which fund he has to rob because the Democrats are holding the country hostage by shutting down the federal government.
She's right.
Stephen, go ahead.
Well, if the president is considering a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Again, he's answered this repeatedly. It's not something he's talking about or even thinking about at this moment in time. I can assure you of that. Stephen.
Caroline, I've got two questions about New York for you.
Sure.
First,
you always do.
All right, let's go.
On brand for the New York Post.
Well, Mayor-elect Mamdani, he said that he plans to reach out to President Trump and that, quote, this is a relationship that will be critical. Does the White House have a response to this planned outreach?
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. I'll let the president respond himself to that comment by Mr. Mamdani.
My second question, Jackson.
My second question, Caroline, have you ever considered how 9/11 affected Zohran Mamdani's aunt?
Schlossberg, the grandson of President Kennedy, announced today that he's running for Congress. He, in the recent past, has referred to his uncle, the HHS secretary, as, quote, a rabid dog, and he has said that the Trump administration is the most corrupt in American history. Does the White House have a comment on this sort of comment from a rising star in the Democratic Party?
I don't even think such ridiculous comments are worth responding to. Obviously, those things are not true. And Secretary Kennedy is doing a phenomenal job bringing transparency and the gold standard of science back to our healthcare system. Eamon.
Thank you, Caroline. The president's hosting a number of Wall Street CEOs for dinner tonight here at the White House. Can you give us the names of the CEOs who are going to be here and give us a sense of what the president's message to Wall Street is going to be tonight?
I don't have a full list for you in front of me, Eamon. I know you've reported on...
After tonight's business supper with a lot of CEOs, I wonder if Trump is going to change any massive opinions of his. I wonder if all of a sudden the H-1B visa plan gets some extra hitches.
Some names, and we've helped you navigate whether those names were truthful or false. But I know the president actually plans to bring some of you into the dinner tonight, so you'll see for yourself in several hours if that's okay with you.
And there's been some reporting that the White House is frustrated with Bill Pulte and the rollout of this proposal for a 50-year mortgage.
Yeah.
If the White House is frustrated with...
Dude, the 50-year mortgage idea is retarded. It basically shaves off like $200 a month of payment, but you need to end up paying like an extra few $100,000 in total over an extra 20 years. 50-year mortgage is insane.
That rollout, and if the White House still supports the idea of a 50-year mortgage for Americans.
This is a proposal that the president himself has commented on. I would defer you to the president's statements, and it's something that the administration is discussing and seriously looking into.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea, man. I think it's an absolutely terrible idea.
Sure. Thanks. Danny, and then go ahead.
Thank you. Some Democratic members of Congress...
I think we need to be shutting down usury as opposed to, you know, finding new ways for the banks to fucking steal your shit. Incredibly hot take. Usury is a sin. All right? Read the Bible.
Congress have invited Britain's former Prince Andrew to testify on the Epstein scandal. I was just wondering if President Trump thinks that former Prince Andrew should indeed come and testify to Congress on that.
I haven't spoken to him about that specific matter, but I can ask him and get back to you.
On the government shutdown, the president and House Republicans have made clear they were not going to negotiate healthcare strategy or policy while the government was shut down. Now, assuming that it reopens tonight, is the president intending to invite any Democrats over to have negotiations over these subsidies or any other plan to bring down the cost of health insurance?
I will just add that, as you pointed out, the Democrats were holding our country hostage to try to negotiate on a healthcare system that they...
Except for John Fetterman.
...created. Obamacare, as it's famously called, is a system the Democrats created. It is a broken system. It has driven up healthcare costs dramatically in this country. And now they shut the government down to try to fix that system they broke. It doesn't make any sense to us, which is why the president said that's a completely untenable position. However, once the government reopens, the president, as he's always maintained, is absolutely open to having conversations about healthcare. And I think you'll see the president putting forth some really good policy proposals the Democrats should take very seriously.
Hey, Trump, they prefer Americans die to Trump getting a W.
Again, the system that they broke. You can't trust the same people who broke the system to fix it, and so the American people will continue to hear from the president on this issue.
Follow up on the question about the $2,000 payments off tariff revenue. The president had also talked about using tariffs to bring down the national debt. Would this be in lieu of that? Like, this is now the new way to maybe to use?
Bro, why are these people all retarded, man? It's like Trump is like, I'm gonna give everyone a free $2,000, and then this dude is like, wow, Trump literally lied about paying off the debt. It's like, bro, you could do stop.
That tariff revenue.
No, the president put out a statement on this clarifying he wants to do both things with the tariff revenue that he's bringing into this country. Trillions of dollars are expected to continue to pour in, and it's part of the reason that the Supreme Court case is so vital for our country's future, to restore our manufacturing industry in this country, to protect our national security, to continue to allow the president to use tariffs as leverage to negotiate economic deals that are good for our national security. And that revenue can then be used for various reasons, to pay down our debt and also perhaps to give these rebate checks back to Americans, which again, the White House is exploring the legal options of how we can get that done. Catherine, go ahead.
Viktor Orban said this week that President Trump has promised Hungary some kind of financial shield. Do you have any details on how that will be structured or what that would look like?
I don't, but I'm happy to check
I like Orban. I think he's a good leader.
With the National Security Council and get back to you.
One more. You recently said you'd check with President Trump about why he needed to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health, which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to open the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
Every 4 years, cryo Trump. Yeah, so anyway, that's going on. That's what's going on. They didn't really ask her the hard questions, to be honest, aside from Epstein, because the media is like an actual retard fucking hellhole. Again, it's all boomers. It's crazy. It's crazy when you look at like what actual humans are talking about, like the H-1B visas, immigration, stuff like that. And then you see what the boomers are talking about, and they're all just like, would Trump want Prince Andrew to testify in Congress? And it's like, holy fuck, no one cares. Literally no one cares about Prince Andrew testifying in Congress. It's crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I want to know what's going on and how much control different parties might have. How much influence different places have in regards to Trump. This H-1B twist was diabolical, and so is the Chinese student thing. It feels like a lot of these things are going against the policies that he's kind of been talking about for a while. And this Epstein shit is insane. Trump is getting fucking obliterated from all sides right now. Half of it's for bullshit reasons, and half of it is just incredibly suspicious. So anyway, that's today's video. You can always count on me to bring you the news that is at least 70% accurate. We aim for higher. All right. No, I try my best. I really try my best. Now, don't trust anything you see. We're living in a world of lies. Find God. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.